This is the newsroom for Tuesday, April 6, 2021. We're broadcasting to you on E1, Scar TV, NTN, and Tarzi TV in Bartica. In the headlines, Guyana is experiencing a third, more deadly wave of COVID-19, and it is attacking the younger population, says former Health Minister Dr. Leslie Ramsammy.
Now there are healthy young people with no known comorbidity who are getting very, very sick.
A family grieves as the missing university student turns up dead. A Sophia man surrenders to the police shortly after a wanted bulletin was issued for him in connection with the murder of Ricardo Paper Shorts Fagandez. And in sport, Batavia Sports Club seeking assistance for ground enhancement and youth development. And Shemron Hetmaya excited about new IPL season as he begins training with Delhi Capitals. With the news, I'm Fariza Hanif. We're glad you can join us. Guyana is now facing a third, more deadly wave of the dreaded coronavirus, which is rapidly spreading across the country and attacking the younger population. According to advisor to the Ministry of Health, Dr. Leslie Ramsammy, the infection is more transmissible, and there has been a rapid increase in infections recorded in regions 3, 4, and 6. What is worrisome is that this new wave is making the younger population sicker. And Dr. Ramsammy explained to the newsroom's Isanella Patwa that more young people are showing symptoms of the virus and are being hospitalized.
Okay, speaking about the recent COVID deaths, in recent days we had the country's recorded 10 COVID-19 deaths. Can you speak a little bit about that? What's happening there?
Yes, and I don't want to sugarcoat anything. We are, like the rest of the world, in another surge. For some countries, it's a third surge. Guyana certainly is a third wave. In some countries, it's a fourth surge. There are countries like Brazil where it has gone out of control. And so people should not make a mistake. Yes, we have vaccination, but we have to continue practicing good public health measure because there is a real surge in Guyana with an increasing number of people getting infected, particularly in regions 4, 3, 6. But in all 10 regions, we're seeing a spike. Some are slight, but in some regions, it is a meaningful spike, a significant spike. But even within a country without any new importation, the virus will continue to change. Every time it gets transmitted from one person to the next, there is a possibility of it changing. The virus that is circulating now has learned how to transmit itself more effectively. So you see an easier transmission occurring around the country. And you see many young people now showing up with symptoms. It is not the first time that young people are getting infected. It has happened throughout since March of last year. But young people are now getting sicker because the virus is making people across the board sicker, including young people. But it is also doing something else. It is not only making them sicker, it is making them sicker more rapidly. So that the time span between getting infected and getting severe symptoms enough to require you being hospitalized and oftentimes moved into the ICU is a shorter time span. And whereas before virtually all of the persons who got really sick and had to be in the ICU were people with comorbidity, diabetes, hypertension, some other chronic condition, now there are healthy young people with no known comorbidity who are getting very, very sick. To stay at home if you don't have to come out. Because every time you leave home, you are putting your life at risk. So if you don't have to come out, don't come out. Taking a break from drinking in the bars and hanging out in the seawall and so for a short while until we bring this thing under control will not affect your life that much. Getting sick and going into the hospital and probably not ever coming out makes a big difference. And if it doesn't make a difference to your life, it certainly makes, because you're not going to be around to know, but it makes a difference to your family's lives.
Recently, we also saw a number of young persons being arrested by the task force. With this deadlier surge that's more, attacking young persons, would you recommend a complete lockdown of, let's say, Region 4 or any of the regions that's been reporting these issues?
I don't think we need to go to a complete lockdown. I think we have to ensure that people adhere to the public health measures. And that's why we have encouraged the joint services to patrol and to make sure that if people will not voluntarily do so, that we take measures to ensure that large gatherings are not allowed. I am hoping that people will act responsibly, that this country does not have to seriously consider a total lockdown. I'm encouraged to see greater enforcement. There are people, because I'm an influential person, people call me. They get arrested by the police. They know me. They call me to intervene, and I have made it clear to them that if you get arrested because you're in a bar, because you were hanging out in a large group by the police, don't call me, because I will tell the police to lock you up twice the amount of time. So this is how serious I am. There are family members who have called me over the weekend to say they were just having a little family get-together with 25, 30 people. And the police came and break it up and arrest some of them. There are sports people in this country, prominent sports people who got to call me. And I said to them, no, I'm not intervening, and don't allow the police to talk to me, because then I will tell them to be even more stringent with you. So this is where we are right now, and I hope that people do the sensible thing, the responsible thing, stop being reckless.
The frantic search for the University of Guyana student Joel Skeet ended tragically on Monday after his decomposed body was discovered on the west bank of Demerara. Hear more from Shakima Day.
It was just over this trench in Bellevue on the west bank of Demerara that police yesterday discovered the decomposing body of missing UT student Joel Skeet. The search ended tragically after police gave word that the decomposed body of Joel Skeet was discovered at Bellevue West Bank Demerara, miles away from his Republic Park East Bank Demerara home. The discovery, according to police, was made around 13:45 hours, with the body trapped between rocks on the western bank of the Demerara River. The body was not easily identifiable due to the advanced state of decomposition. However, family members, after receiving word, rushed to the scene and was able to positively identify him by his clothing. The Bellevue resident who notified the police told the newsroom that it was fishermen on a fishing boat who gave the alert that a body was stuck between the rocks. The body was clad in a dark grey long pants and burgundy jersey, matching the outfit Skeet was last seen with. The computer science major was last seen by his mother on March 31st when he left for a barbershop at the Harbour Bridge Mall. The now distraught woman, according to reports, watched her son enter the mall and returned home, patiently waiting for his arrival. But Skeet never showed. The family then received the devastating news on Monday. The statement said, open quote, "Our care team is deployed and ready to give whatever support is needed to the family and friends, including those who taught him and who are deeply disturbed and saddened. The university community mourns his loss and hopes that the authorities will be able to provide answers so desperately sought by those who survive him." End quote. Up to press time, the police have received no leads on the investigations. For the Newsroom, I am Shakima Day.
Police have arrested 2 persons in connection with the murder of Roy Ross, a 23-year-old resident of Swan Village on the Susdike-Linden Highway. Ross was found dead in his house in a bloodied state early Monday. Police said another suspect is currently being sought as investigations continue. Isanella Patwa joins us.
As police continue to investigate the circumstances surrounding the death of 23-year-old porter Roy Ross of Swan Village, located on the Susdike-Linden Highway, 2 of the suspects are in custody while a 3rd is being sought. Ross was brutally stabbed to death sometime between April 4th and 5th. His bloodied body was discovered by his co-worker and neighbor at about 6 a.m. on Monday. The Newsroom understands that Ross was last seen alive by his girlfriend sometime after 9 p.m. on Sunday. The neighbor and co-worker Tony Ferreira told the Newsroom that he returned home from a birthday celebration sometime around midnight when he saw Ross's door ajar but did not think anything of it. However, on Monday morning, Ferreira said he observed that the door was still open, and so he decided to investigate. According to Ferreira, as he approached the house, he saw Ross's feet in the doorway, and upon further investigation, he found him lying in a pool of blood with a stab wound to the chest. Ferreira said he raised an alarm and the police were contacted. Meanwhile, another resident told the Newsroom that Ross returned home in a drunken state after imbibing all day, and as a result, his girlfriend left their house to stay with her mother, who resides nearby. The resident explained that the girlfriend would normally leave Ross alone when he consumes alcohol, as he tends to get abusive. Investigations are ongoing.
Still ahead in the Newsroom, a Sophia man surrenders to the police shortly after a wanted bulletin was issued for him in connection with the murder of Ricardo Paper Shorts Fagandez, and a Grove man is stabbed to death at a gambling shop. Stay with us. Back, you're watching the Newsroom. Hours after a wanted bulletin was issued for him, Rondell Bacchus, also known as Killer, turned himself over to the police at the Criminal Investigation Department, CID, in Georgetown. The 40-year-old man, who was recently released from prison, was wanted by the police for questioning in relation to the murder of Ricardo Paper Shorts Fagandez. The Newsroom understands that Bacchus, who was serving a 5-year prison sentence after he pleaded guilty to the lesser count of manslaughter, was released early from the penitentiary with only a few more months of his sentence left to serve. He was charged in May 2019 with the July 2008 murder of scrap metal dealer Akbar Ali. Fagandez, who was a popular gold dealer and biker, was riddled with bullets on March 21, 2021 on Main Street, Georgetown, moments after he exited the Palm Court nightclub. The elections petition case, which asks for the March 2020 general and regional elections to be vitiated, comes up in the High Court on Wednesday. 13 respondents in the petition filed by the APNU-AFC coalition are expected to make oral submissions to the court. Among them are Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs Anil Nandalal, who has already deemed the petition a failure. Kurt Campbell reports.
With one of its elections petitions already dismissed by Chief Justice Acting Roxanne George, the second petition, 88P, filed by the APNU-AFC coalition, will move forward in the High Court at a hearing set for April 7. But even ahead of that hearing before the Chief Justice, Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs Anil Nandalal has questioned the success of that petition filed by Claudette Throne and Heston Boswick. The AG insists that just as the first petition, 99P, was dismissed, this petition, although not found wanting on the grounds of procedural compliance for service, is also destined to fail. In his written submission to the court, the Attorney General explained his position, reasoning that no evidence has been put forward by the filing attorneys representing the APNU-AFC coalition to invalidate the results of the March 2, 2020 general and regional elections. According to the Attorney General, in his submissions, the petitioners have failed to discharge the heavy burden of rebutting the constitutionality of Section 22 of the Elections Law Amendment Act, as they have submitted in their written submissions. The Attorney General said neither have they been able to establish that Order Number 60 of 2020 was in any manner whatsoever unlawful, as they so claim. In their written submissions, the petitioners have challenged that Section 22 of the Elections Law Amendment Act is unconstitutional and Order Number 60 of 2020 is invalid, null, void, and of no effect. Section 22 of the Elections Law Amendment Act serves to resolve irregularities, discrepancies, and anomalies occurring in the elections process and to determine a final credible count. The Attorney General intends to argue orally on Wednesday that the coalition must not only establish that the election activities were unlawful, but that it has or may have affected the results of the elections. Firstly, it is already submitted that Order 60 and the recount process are valid and lawful. Secondly, this petition fails to establish any satisfactory evidence that the said Order 60 and the recount process have affected or may have affected the results of the election, the Attorney General submitted. Nandlal concluded in his 22-page submission that there is no evidence of any variation between the first count, which took place at the end of poll, and the count which took place under Order 60. Even if it is found that the recount and Order 60 are unlawful, there is still no evidence that either both of them materially affected the results of the elections. This petition is destined to fail, he added. Meanwhile, the petitioners in Petition 99P have appealed its dismissal, asking the Court of Appeal to set aside the ruling of the Chief Justice. Nandlal has also argued that the appeal will fail. On January 18, 2021, Justice George reasoned that because former President David Granger was not served within the required 5-day timeline for doing so, and he has been found to be a necessary party in the proceedings, Petition 99P was declared a nullity and dismissed.
A 49-year-old shopkeeper of Nazarene Street Grove squatting area on the east bank of Demerara was stabbed to death during an argument over money on Monday at about 18:30. Dead is Trevor Alfred. Police in a statement said that Alfred and the suspect, a 36-year-old mason of Grove, were gambling at a shop called Rocky at 2nd Street Grove squatting area when they got into a heated argument. And as a result, the owner of the shop asked them to leave the premises. Police said the argument then intensified outside with the pelting of bottles. Alfred and the suspect then armed themselves with knives and started to fight. During the fight, Alfred fell to the ground and was stabbed several times by the suspect, who then escaped. However, Alfred followed the suspect and continued fighting until they both ended up in a culvert. Police said Alfred was subsequently taken to the Georgetown Public Hospital and pronounced dead. The suspect was also taken to the hospital and is admitted under police guard. Investigations are ongoing. Former Minister of Health, Dr. Leslie Ramsammy, says thousands of young people are being turned away from COVID-19 vaccination sites daily because they do not meet the criteria to take the vaccine. Currently, only persons 40 years and older and frontline workers are being administered the jab. However, Dr. Ramsammy, during an interview with the Newsroom's Isanella Patwa, spoke about special exceptions and noted that so far, over 40,000 persons have been vaccinated.
We have with us here Dr. Leslie Ramsammy, who is the advisor to the Ministry of Health. Dr. Ramsammy, thank you very much for doing this interview with me. We wanted to talk a bit about the COVID vaccination campaign that's ongoing countrywide. We know now that we have 3 options of the vaccines: the Russian Sputnik vaccine, the Sinopharm, and the AstraZeneca. If you can tell us the protocol when someone visits a vaccination site, do they have the option to say, I want this one or I want that one? What is the protocol of persons to be vaccinated?
Whilst there is an option, we encourage people to choose a vaccine. There is also the reality that the vaccine given to you will be the one that is available at the time. We had 20,000 doses of Sinopharm. We have basically used up the 10,000 that were intended as first dose, because we have to keep an equivalent amount for the second dose. And at this very moment, we have distributed the 10,000 first dose out. So there are still a few in the regions, and people who want Sinopharm will get those. But once those are exhausted, Sinopharm will no longer be available until and if we have another batch. AstraZeneca, we do have about 25,000 doses in stock now, so people can have AstraZeneca if they so choose. Sputnik, we have 25,000 on hand now, and through this week we expect more shipment of Sputnik. So that's where we are today. We hope that the age limit will be shifted downwards very shortly, and that depends on how quickly the rest of the vaccines come into the country.
While there's been a sort of delay for persons to take the vaccine, has there been a response or a good response for persons who are taking the vaccine, or for persons who want to take the vaccine, for example, persons in their 30s or 20s? Has there been anything?
I would say on an average of about 1,000 people per day are being turned back because they are not within the eligibility group. We do make some, we are flexible, we do make some exception. We have, for example, now that it's 40 years old, if a couple show up and one is 40 and one is slightly less than 40, we will vaccinate the couple, because we don't think it makes sense for a husband and wife to come in and one of them get the vaccine and one have to go back and come back.
Okay, in terms of the region, can you say which region recorded the most number of persons who've taken the vaccine?
Of course, it's unfair to talk about numbers for the region because the bigger regions will always be at the top. So Region 4, not unexpectedly, is the region at the moment with about 20,000 people that have been vaccinated. Region 6 with close to 8,000 people is next, and Region 3 with close to 7,000 people would be next. I am a little disappointed in the response in Region 8 and Region 10. And so for those that have decided that I'm not taking the vaccine, it is an irresponsible decision. Not only are you putting your life at danger, you're putting the lives of others. And I want to appeal first to faith leaders, to church leaders, to pandits, to imams, to the Baha'i community. Encourage your people to come out and take the vaccine. Point of time, at this particular time that you're talking to me, we have surpassed 42,000, and I want to thank those who have come forward and those who are encouraging people to come. At the end of the day, I'm hoping that we can report to this nation that we have surpassed 45,000 and reaching out to the 50,000 mark.
More news ahead. Stay with us. A 34-year-old logger of Kwakwani Park, Berbice River, is nursing injuries at the Kwakwani Hospital complex after he was beaten with a piece of wood by a man he attacked with a rum bottle on Monday. According to a police report, Adolphe Alicock, known as Dogman, and the 36-year-old suspect have an ongoing feud. Alicock accused the suspect of having an affair with his wife. At around 22:35, the suspect was in the company of some friends walking on the road in Kwakwani Park when Alicock approached him with a rum bottle. They had an argument, and Alicock reportedly threw the rum bottle at the suspect, causing him to receive a wound to the left side of his face. The suspect then picked up a piece of wood and dealt Alicock several lashes to his left side face, his forehead, left shoulder, and lower left foot. Alicock was rushed to the hospital and is in a serious condition. The suspect is in police custody. A search is ongoing for 45-year-old Vikram Hardawar, a sailor of IFLOT at the west coast of Demerara, who fell overboard after his feet became entangled in a fishing net at Winey Mouth, Northwest District in Region 1 on Monday. Hardawar was part of a crew of 6 men, including the boat's captain. Police in a statement noted that at about 4:30 on Monday, Hardawar was tossing the fishing sail into the ocean some 65 miles offshore when his feet got entangled and he fell overboard. His crew told the police that they tossed 2 life jackets into his direction and was in the process of turning the boat around when they heard him shouting for help 3 times before he went under. The men said they searched the area but couldn't find him. As a result, they went to the police station and reported the matter. They remain in police custody while the investigations are ongoing. Branders Guyana, a one-time side hustle for 2 friends, Daniel Sugrim and Martin Brock, moved from being fun projects to a major source of income and now one of the country's leading merchandising and custom designing businesses. Co-founder Martin Brock sat down with the newsroom to talk about how the business outgrew his own desire and survived difficult times.
Back then it was like a hustle for us. You know, we would sit down in the office and we had a computer with the internet and we would see things online and show it to Guyana Lotto and they say yes and they buy it and you collect the money up front and it was a real nice hustle. But then the hustle became a business where people wanted things on demand and there was no one in Guyana that really fulfilled that, you know, to fill that void. Years ago when I first came back to Guyana from Venezuela, I was looking for something to get done. I used to work in the mines, gold miner, and quickly realized that mining wasn't for me. It was a thing where I thought it was only for mad people because you didn't leave the gold there and you go in there investing a ton of money, you hope to find it. So you gotta be mad, right? So I didn't want to be mad anymore and I came back home and I started up a little meat center that my mother had at the time in Rob Street, in the BB Can building. And that too had its challenges with blackouts and damaging of equipment and spoilage of meat. So got out of that, went into beverages. I had a few business partners at the time. And that presented another challenge. So it was one thing after the other. We had expiration dates, we had damages, and smuggling. Smuggling was one of the biggest problems we had at the time. So from there we had an opportunity to buy Margarita's gift shop, which we did. And that kind of spawned Branders. A friend of mine, a guy named Daniel Sugrim, and we started, our first big order was with Digicel. And from there, Daniel did his own thing, he had an outdoor thing, and then I started corporate gifts with the revenue that we made from that sale to Digicel. And then from there, we started to get big clients. And so we started an uphill journey of buying equipment and buying blanks, and we started off buying like 12 different pens in 6 colors each, and we bought like 12 of each color, and that was humongous. And 6 years after, we're doing 1,001 color, and you know, we're stocking everything that we have here. So when a client comes in, they can place an order right away. In a day or 2, they get it. I remember when I was getting gray hair with my children, my daughter would make a joke and she says, better to pull out the black hair than the gray hair. That's when I had hair. So I'll tell you what we don't do. We don't do signage. For that, we recommend other companies, particularly Modern Graphics. We don't make a profit off of it. We try to be a one-stop shop for corporate Guyana. So ID card printing, garments, customized flags, tents, feather flags, customized awards, promotional products. There's not much that we don't do. I think I went through a phase of insanity when I did this, but it was a good insanity. It was like 4 years before I actually started to brand that I was studying this thing. I would go online, go on YouTube, whatever little bit of money I had, I would travel to the States, do a screen printing course or go and do a pad printing course or something like that. And 4 years of studying till 2, 3 in the morning, wife hollering on me saying, get off the damn computer, it's time for bed. For the first time in my life, I decided to listen to these people that I thought were crazy too. The ones that said, chase your dreams, you know, and you'll never work a day in your life. Find something that you love, you'll never work a day. And I could never figure that out because I had 2 young children. I had a wife. I didn't own a home, I didn't own a car, the bank owned everything. I didn't even have a home then, I was renting from place to place. And it was a struggle, it was, you know. And then when we finally got a little break and we started getting these orders in, one of the banks approached us when we were in Thomas Street by Dr. Shivnana's clinic upstairs. one of the banks approached us and said, you know, you should take this thing bigger. We're willing to support you. It was kind of a do or die situation. If we're going to commit, we're going to commit. And so we started to buy the first printer. It cost us about 8,000 US, and that was humongous at the time. And yes, we took bank loans. We got the loans from the bank. Quite a lot of loans we took. There were 1 million US in debt to the bank. But it's every time we take another loan, we're going to do, because every year we try to implement something new. If it's, all right, let's go print fabrics this year. Let's go do flags. So you got to go get a huge roller press. We got to get a different type of printer. We got to get different type of paper. We got to get software, you know, all these different things. And it costs money, you know, and you just got to do it. There's no other choice. I mean, are you going to stand still, or you're going to follow it, you know, fall to the wayside? You're going to follow the rest of the people, or you're going to lead the pack? And so for me, I don't think there's any one business in Guyana that could compete with Brandon. It's just the way we are. We're broke, but you know, no one can compete with us.
When the newsroom returns, the financial, weather and bridge reports and sport news with Avinash Ramzan. That's it for me, Fariza Hanif. Take care.
Welcome back to Newsroom. Now for a look at what's happening in sport. We're starting off by telling you that the community of Batavia, which is located in Region 7, Cuyuni Mazaruni, is keen on developing their youth, and the foremost area is that of sport. The sports club is seeking to gain further assistance to continue the enhancement of the community ground. Akeem Green visited the community at the weekend and filed this report.
Cricket, volleyball and football are the main sport activities that occur in the village, and according to Roy Prince, Vice President of the Batavia Sports Club, he wants to continue developing the facility to allow activities both in the day and night. They have started works after receiving a grant of 800,000 Guyana dollars by the former government, but indicated over the weekend, given the magnitude of the work required, they are short of funds.
We had a little grant in the former government, but it was just a bit too small to prepare the ground to the standard that is supposed to be for football. And we were discussing within ourselves, you know, we will seek where we can find, you know, help in assisting us to get this ground prepared to the standard that it needs to be. Because we have a lot of young guys here who is very active in football. And it's heartbroken to me at times when they have to leave our community to go into other communities that, you know, are more equipped for the sports. And we have a ground right here. So I talked to them, I encouraged them, you know, not to give up in the sports. As a part of the sports club, I talked to them not to give up on football, because it's one of the sports that takes a young person very far.
Prince said they plan on reaching out to the Ministry of Culture, Youth and Sport for some assistance, since they have approximately $500,000 remaining after doing some ground clearing.
I saw in the news about, you know, after the budget passed, how much money was located for sports and for the upgrading of grounds. So I was speaking with them and telling them that we can, you know, we can make a request to the Ministry of Sports even for a little more additional sum to what we have, you know, but we will prepare a proposal with the type of lighting system that is needed and what would be the cost of it. And we, you know, with the additional what we have, how much more would be needed to get the ground in order. So, but we haven't done that as yet, but we're planning to do that very shortly.
Meanwhile, Minister of Housing and Water, Colin Cole, indicated that they will soon restart the hinterland program, and it is important that all communities have recreational space.
In terms of recreational facilities, we also have in all our housing areas that we're developing, we always make available some space for recreational facilities or recreational park. It's important that as part of the community development of a community, we also provide this kind of space. Now we're here in Batavia, and Batavia has requested assistance with their ground, and so certainly what I'll be doing, I'll be advancing their request to the Honourable Minister of Culture, Youth and Sport for assistance for the development of their area, because this ground, they love cricket here, It's probably the most popular sport here in this village. And we work for one government. We serve one purpose. And all of us, it doesn't matter which ministry we come from, our aim and our goal is to develop and improve the lives and well-being of all of our citizens. And so in order for this to be done in a fast-track way, is for us to have collaboration, to have with other ministries, interagencies.
For the newsroom, Akim Green.
Basketball news now. Guyana's head coach Junior Hercules has decided on his final 12-man roster for the FIBA Basketball World Cup 2023 America's pre-qualifiers in El Salvador later this month. Details in this report. The Guyana Amateur Basketball Federation said the national team boss has included as much size as possible while parading some of the country's most promising young talents. 2018 CBC MVP Stanton Rose will captain the team with support from co-captain and 2019 BCL and Intercontinental champion Delroy James. The lone naturalized player Delon Bovell from Berkeley College will make his debut. The up-and-coming talents who will gain valuable experience are Israel Yaw and Yannick Tapin. The squad is Harold Adams, Travis Belgrave, Delon Bovell, Delroy James, Gordon James, Anthony Moore, Stanton Rose, Nikolai Smith, Yannick Tapin, Timothy Thompson, Teron Welsh and Israel Yaw. The accompanying delegation will include Junior Andrew Hercules, who is the head coach, Dennis Clark, the assistant coach, Alex Graham, the head of delegation, Dr. Dennis Bessier, the team doctor, Akim Fraser, the physiotherapist, and Warren Wilson, the COVID-19 compliance officer. Guyana will first play Nicaragua on April 15 from 21 hours, followed by a clash against Jamaica the day after from 18 hours. The Guyanese will then take on El Salvador on April 17 from 21 hours and then Costa Rica on April 18 from 18 hours. Football news now. Western FC at the weekend announced that MLS next coach and former Golden Jaguars captain Christopher Nurse has been appointed to the newly created MLS Next Equity Action Committee, a new diversity, equity and inclusion initiative that advocates for social equality in the sport of football. Nurse is one of the 9 members of the committee, which will guide MLS Next to facilitate positive changes for a more aware, equitable, just and responsible football community. Western FC said it is committed to applying the principles of equity, diversity and inclusion to all of its programming, and initiatives will be announced soon. Norse said being on the Equity Action Committee will allow him to influence positive change and bring more awareness and light to this area. He added that it is an area that is often neglected and not given the attention it requires to address and act upon these issues in both society and culture. We tell you now that Real Madrid and Manchester City recorded wins in the Champions League quarterfinals on Tuesday. While Real Madrid pulled off a 3-1 success over Liverpool, Manchester City secured a 2-1 win over Borussia Dortmund. The defeat to Real Madrid leaves Liverpool having to produce another huge European display at Anfield if they are to reach the last 4 of the Champions League. Now, the Guyanese batsman Shimron Hetmyer has linked up with his Delhi Capitals teammates ahead of the start of the IPL 2021. The biggest T20 league bowls off on April 9 in Chennai with defending champions Mumbai Indians against Royal Challengers Bangalore. After a training session, Hetmyer spoke to Delhi Capitals media team, noting that he's very excited about the upcoming season.
He was just trying to get me out, but it wasn't happening. I wasn't taking any of that. I was just hitting him for sixes all the time. Yeah, much easier. It's much easier this year than last year, to be honest, because my wife is here with me, so it makes it much easier to just relax in the room, and I'm not as lonely as I was last year, so it's much better this year. I'm happy that we got the opportunity to bring her up this year, so she'll get to enjoy Delhi as I did last year and this year so far. It felt great coming back out today after 7 days, to be honest, because at home I was hitting just a little bit, but to be back in Delhi, to be in India, to be honest, it's really good to be here, and I'm really enjoying it so far. And even the first day I'm enjoying it. I have started to enjoy it from the first day already, so just more to come. Happy and sad at the same time because Shreyas isn't here, but I think it's pretty good. I'm happy for him. Basically played against him from on the 19th to now, so I'm really happy for him, and playing with him and playing under him now, I think he'll be much better. It's a good challenge. I think it's a very good challenge for him, and I think he'll live up to it very well as well. He was just trying to get me out, but it wasn't happening. I wasn't taking any of that. I was just hitting him for sixes all the time, so it was nothing at all. No need to worry.
Now, Cricket West Indies and Fan Code, India's premier digital sports destination for all fans, have entered into a broadcast partnership, making Fan Code the official fan destination in India for West Indies cricket. The landmark 4-year partnership until 2024 will give Indian fans access to almost 150 international and 250 domestic cricket matches from the Caribbean, streamed exclusively on Fan Code. The showcase will include 16 international West Indies men's series, the CG Insurance Super 50 Cup matches, West Indies women's home series, and on the 19 international cricket matches. Besides exclusive live streaming of the matches, Fan Code will also create innovative sports content for deeper fan engagement by bringing to fans in India all of what makes West Indies cricket so exciting: the passion of fans, behind-the-scenes footage, player stories, features around the legacy and traditions of Caribbean cricket, and much more. The 16 international West Indies men's home series will feature major cricket powerhouses such as India, Australia, England, South Africa, New Zealand, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Afghanistan, Ireland, and Zimbabwe, including the exclusive rights for the next India tour of West Indies in July 2022 and any subsequent India tours within that term. And with that, we've come to the end of the news for this evening. Of course, you can find updates on these and other stories on our website, Newsroom.gy, our Facebook page, and Instagram. On behalf of the entire news team, my name is Ramsammy. Thanks for watching. Be safe. See you next time.